Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Align to Hope initiative. And today we would try to understand what really happens when we have reserved grief. There could be certain incidents in the past which would have happened, and even though you thought that you have moved ahead in life, you could still be storing some tears, some grief. So we need to understand that we invite an experience of grief at the soul level in order to experience and understand what a grieved one goes through. These could be beautiful moments gifted by the universe to turn inwards and understand your inner realm. Nothing is permanent. Losses of different nature are inevitable facts of your life. It is how you deal with these losses that determine your future growth. You have a choice of getting stuck with grief for years or bounce back by acknowledging and embracing the loss. Masking your hidden tears could fool others, but you are aware of them deep down in your heart. Address these tears. They are waiting for your permission so that they can flow. Heal the grief and move on in a light-hearted manner to explore a brilliant future life awaiting you. So I would chant, and you could probably get into a relaxed position and lie down with closed eyes. And firstly, just taking a few deep breaths, breathing in and exhaling. Breathing in all the energy and exhaling all the grief out, out, out slowly. I revive my reserved grief. I recognize my reserved grief. I realign my reserved grief. I reorient my reserved grief. I reposition my reserved grief. I revive my reserved grief. I recognize my reserved grief. I realign my reserved grief. I reorient my reserved grief. I reposition my reserved grief. I revive my reserved grief. I recognize my reserved grief. I realign my reserved grief. I reorient my reserved grief. I reposition my reserved grief. I revive my reserved grief. I recognize my reserved grief. I realign my reserved grief. I reorient my reserved grief. I reposition my reserved grief. I revive my reserved grief. I recognize my reserved grief. I realign my reserved grief. I reorient my reserved grief. I reposition my reserved grief. So what happens is that because you need to show a brave face during your past setbacks and external losses, and you need to be the stronger one. You suppress your emotions or just the fact that you want to cry or wail about something. But somewhere that still remains with us, and grief at times unknowingly weighs you down. So you may repeat this again and break through these unseen self-created walls so that you're able to allow yourself to shed the unshed tears. Thank you.